Aloha and welcome to the Hawaii State Senate. I'm Senator Jarrett Kehokalole, Chair of the Health Committee. This is our Monday, February 14th, 1 p.m. joint committee hearing between the Senate Health Committee and the Senate Waterland Committee. On the Health Committee, I'm joined currently on the Zoom by Senator Joyce San Buenaventura, and also on the Health Committee are the Vice Chair, Senator Roz Baker, Senator Kurt Favela, and Senator Sharon Moriwaki. There's my Vice Chair. Chair Inouye, would you like to introduce the members of your committee?
Yes, thank you, Chair. For the Committee on Water and Land, it's myself, Senator Lorraine Inouye, and to my right is Senator Bennett Misalucha, and she'll be doing my vote sheets today. In Zoom land, we do have our Vice Chair, Keith Agaran from Maui, as well as I see Senator Revere and Senator Favela is on Zoom land as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. This meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we need to abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Wednesday, February 16th at 1:10 p.m. and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. For testifiers participating remotely, your audio will be muted and your video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. You will have 2 minutes to share your testimony. If there are any technical glitches during your turn, we may have to move on to the next person due to time constraints. This is a 90-minute hearing. We need to be finished and voting on all the bills by 2:30 p.m. So we may try and come back to you if you have glitches. We appreciate your understanding and remind you that the committee does have your written testimony. So I do encourage you during your 2 minutes to either add any comments that are not included in your written testimony, or I'd encourage you to stand on your testimony and make yourself available for questions. I'll be reading from a list of individuals who submitted written testimony, and we apologize if the closed captioning doesn't accurately transcribe your name. If you're interested in reviewing the written testimony, please go to the legislature's website and you will find a link on the status page for the measure. I'll turn it over to Chair Inouye for the first measure on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. For SB 3376, and this is relating to mosquito control, and this appropriates funds for the establishment of one full-time equivalent of planner positions related to mosquito control in the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Marigold Zoe, are you testifying for chair case today?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, and committee members. The department stands on the written testimony in support of the measure, so long as it doesn't replace or adversely impact priorities indicated in the executive supplemental budget. And I have Cynthia King with me should there be any questions. Thank you.
You also have an amendment recommended by the agency as well.
Right,
okay.
Right, to add in the Department of Health into the language.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Department of Health.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. My name is Grace Simmons from the Vector Control Branch. We stand on our written testimony in support of SB 3376 and ask that you consider our amendments that we placed in the testimony. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, she is the last testifier. Members who submitted that they'll be doing testimonies. I have a question for Department of Health. How does this affect the vector control program already with the Department of Health?
Senator, it actually enhances our program. We've been working very closely with DLNR to follow through on our research project for Wolbachia, and this will help DLNR hire a position that would help both our agencies along with Department of Agriculture and our other partners so that we can proceed with our research specifically with Wolbachia.
Oh, okay, so it doesn't replace the activity that your vector control people throughout the state in what they do. And actually this enhances the program working with DLNR as well?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. All right. Craig Hurai, Department of Budget and Finance has sent in comments. We do have support from the Center for Biological Diversity, the Nature Conservancy Hawaii, and an individual in support. Members, any questions of DLNR or the agency? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. All yours, Senator Kealoha-Kalole.
Thank you, Chair. We'll move to the next measure on the agenda, SB 2650, relating to water quality. This bill transfers functions regarding water quality, including water pollution, non-point source pollution management and control, drinking water standards, and a number of other measures from the Department of Health to the Commission on Water Resource Management. First up, we have the Attorney General's office with comments.
Good afternoon, Chairs Kealoha-Kalole and Inouye and the Joint Committee members. I'm Deputy Attorney General Colin Lau on behalf of the Attorney General's office. We submitted comments identifying two specific problems. One is there's a one subject problem in that the bill is entitled relating to water quality, but proposes to remove the health director or designee and place the chair of the Hawaiian Homes Commission or designee on the Water Commission. The second problem is that it amends Section 174C7 of the Hawaii Revised Statutes to state the governor shall appoint 7 members without amending the total number of members on the Water Commission in Section A. It currently calls for, Section A calls for 7 members, 5 of which are appointed and 2 are ex officio. Thanks for allowing me to testify, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Good afternoon, and aloha, Chair Kealoha-Kalole and Chair Inouye. The department stands in support of this bill, especially the section that would place either myself or a designee on the Water Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Health in opposition.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and committee members. My name is Sina Pruder, and I'm the chief of the wastewater branch of the Department of Health. The department stands on our written testimony in opposition of this measure. I'll be available to answer questions. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. DLNR, Water Commission.
Hello, chairs and vice chairs and committee members. Claire Mannion, Deputy with the Water Commission. We stand on our written testimony offering comments and are here to answer any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. Board of Water Supply with comments.
Yes, this is Kathy Mitchell with the Board of Water Supply. We submitted late testimony. We stand on our testimony offering comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Kealoha-Kalole, Chair Inouye, vice chairs, and members of the committees. I appreciate the opportunity to testify. As those who know me, I served for 15 years as the deputy representing the Department of Health on water matters. I appreciate the committee's desire to improve water management in Hawaii, key issue, but I am not sure how this bill would achieve that result, and the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition is opposed. It seems to me it would cause a lot of disruption, and it's not clear that it would cause any benefits. I'm happy to answer any questions and happy to discuss with the committees how it might be better implemented and how we can move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted. Is there anyone else on the call that's registered to testify on this measure? Okay, I'd like to note the written testimony of Lisa Bishop in opposition and Susan Piccola Davis in support. Members, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the next measure on the agenda, SB 2653 relating to water quality management. This establishes a task force to investigate the environmental, infrastructure, public health, and economic consequences of the Red Hill water crisis, and include a recommendation plan that also considers water rationing, also appropriates funds. First up, Department of Health and Support.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and committee members. My name is Gaudencio Lopez. Excuse me.
Our video is, okay, go ahead.
There we go. Thank you. My name is Gaudencio Lopez, Chief of the Safe Drinking Water Branch. The Department of Health stands on our written testimony in support of the measure with comments. I'll be available to answer questions. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Water Commission.
Again, chairs and committee members, Clem Manuel, Deputy with Water Commission. We stand on our written testimony offering comments and are here to answer any questions. Ronald.
Thank you very much. Board of Water Supply.
Yes. Kathy Mitchell with the Board of Water Supply. We stand on our testimony with comments.
Thank you very much. That's all the registered testimony we've received on this. We also received comments from the League of Women Voters, the Department of Budget and Finance, Kimiona Kane, Harina Asa, and Susan Picola Davis. Members, any questions? Okay, we'll move to the next measure, SB 2889. Oh, I'm sorry. The next measure is SB 2658, making an appropriation to fund a grant to the Board of Water Supply for emergency operations, future planning, and groundwater remediation. Department of Health.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Lene Ichinotsubo for the Department of Health, Solid and Hazardous Waste Branch. The department stands on our written testimony, providing comments and offering amendments. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Water Commission.
Clem Manuel, Deputy Director. Mahalo. The department stands, appreciates the intent of the measure and offers comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board of Water Supply.
Yes, Senator, Board of Water Supply stands in strong support of this measure.
Thank you very much. That's all the registered testimony we've received on this. Is there anyone on the call that we missed? We're going fast. Okay, for the record, Budget and Finance with comments. Oh, this was the one, League of Women Voters offered comments. I think I got that mixed up. And 3 individuals. Members, any questions about this measure? Senator San Buenaventura.
Yes, for Department of Health. Hi, I read your written testimony saying that basically you have already encumbered 300,000 of the 400,000 ceiling for the fund and expects to encumber the remainder. However, I also saw the BNF testimony saying that there is an unencumbered cash balance of 1.3 million. So my question is, how come you guys cannot, can't you use some of the 1.3 million to transfer over to the Board of Water Supply?
So I appreciate the question. So just to give a little bit of background, this fund was designed to help the cleanup of underground storage tank release sites. And so as part of that, we are responsible, there might be some sites that do not have a responsible party. It might have been an abandoned tank, an old tank that is discovered during construction that needs assistance. And if there's no responsible party, we may have to come in to assess with the remediation of that system. And in those cases, we would have to utilize this fund to do that work. So we always want to have some cushion in the account for those situations, because there will be no ability to recover funds back into the system. Also, we do spend about $300,000 to $400,000 a year, even before this event. And so moving forward, because it takes time to obtain reimbursements from the responsible parties to go back into the fund, we also need an additional cushion in there. But given the current situation that we're dealing with, we are asking the legislature to increase our ceiling expenditures to 1.4 million so that we have the ability to utilize the funds for our current expenses. And so, we understand that the legislature would like to provide funding to Board of Water Supply, and we support that intent. We're just a little concerned that the funds would be coming from this fund itself.
So if we increase your ceiling to the 1.4 million, then you'll be able to use all of your unencumbered cash balance that BNF was referring to, and some of it can be given to the Board of Water Supply through this bill.
We would appreciate the increase in ceiling, but we would be able to utilize the funds ourselves. If the legislature would like to pass through general funds into this account, and then we issue a grant from utilizing the general funds, we would be open to that suggestion.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Chair, I have a question.
Senator Mr. Lucha has a question.
In the same vein, I actually wanted Board of Water Supply.
Yeah, she's on.
Okay, so in your testimony, you alluded to how, I'm not sure if the person who responded to Senator San Buenaventura, is that person from Board of Water Supply?
No, Department of Health.
Okay, so Board of Water Supply then. You alluded in your testimony to the fact that you've already incurred costs and taken some expense out some of the potential impacts to the drinking water. So I wanted to find out if any idea how much you have spent so far?
The Board of Water Supply is tallying up that amount, but we're going to be spending more for the testing and on the soil. We have to find alternative sources of water.
Okay, so this is not just for the past, but also the future expenses, correct? Any idea what those ballpark figure? I know there's a blank right now in the bill.
Yes, we don't have that amount yet.
Okay.
We'll have to look for exploratory wells. That's going to be very costly because we shut down Halawa Shaft and Halawa Well and IA Well.
I'm not sure if you're able to respond to this, but Senator Schatz, I think last week, put out a press release that he secured 100 million to defuel Red Hill. And I'm not certain what that covers, but has he made any inquiries to your office as to whether this might be part of that package? No?
I can't say right now, but I think that money is going to the DOD or the Navy.
I see. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions?
I have a question, Chair. This is for Department of Health. You mentioned you want to actually for us to look at increasing your ceiling. Do you have a bill this year to that request?
Well, I believe we mentioned something in the budget bill, but I am not certain on that. But if it could also be done in this measure.
Okay, so you're requesting that it be included if the chair recognizes the need then? Because you don't have you don't have a bill, it's not in the budget.
I'm not entirely certain if it's in the budget, but
all right.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator.
Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the last measure on this joint agenda, SB 2889, relating to water catchment systems. This requires the Department of Health to regulate water catchment systems and provide testing to businesses who utilize water catchment systems. First up, we have the Department of Health.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and committee members. My name is Gaudencio Lopez, Chief of the Safe Drinking Water Branch. The Department of Health stands on our written testimony in opposition of the measure. I'll be available to answer questions. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Board of Water Supply.
Board of Water Supply stands on its testimony offering comments.
Thank you very much. Rourke Reagan.
Yeah, hello, everyone. I'm Rourke Reagan. I live in Waihinau on the Big Island in Kau. And I'm asking you to support this measure as a small business. Currently, I'm lucky enough to be on county water, but before I was not on county water, and I would not be able to have my business. I just make jams and jellies, and we're trying to expand and do things, but we are not able. So many people here cannot do that if they are on Catchment. And already the University of Hawaii prints a brochure on how you can do Catchment safely for your drinking water for you and your family. And if that's good enough for having water for your keiki, I don't see why it can't be good enough for a business. It's an easy process to follow. You get your filters, you get a UV system, and you clean like everything else. And I'm just thinking this is a great thing to expand for small local businesses. If you're concerned for larger businesses, maybe that's something to look at. But for the small folks here, and I think of Ocean View and HPP over in Puna, huge subdivisions that have no access except to go to the water spigot or to have it delivered. When you have water delivered for a half a tank, it starts at $250 a gallon. When the volcano is going and everything else, you can even get water delivered. So you're dependent upon your rain catchment. And this bill would really help out a lot of people. And please think of that when you're making your decision. I appreciate it and thank you.
Thank you very much. Joshua Mark Black, in support.
Not present, Chair.
Okay, is there anyone else on the call who'd like to testify? Okay, seeing none, in total, we had 10 individuals submit testimony in support, 1 in opposition and 1 with comments. Members, any questions? Senator San Buenaventura.
Yeah, for Board of Water Supply, are they still on?
Yes.
Hi, so I saw your written testimony, and especially since there was a discussion of Red Hill on the last measure, and in the info briefings, there is the potential for rationing should the Red Hill tanks leak further into our aquifers, or Board of Water Supply decides to cut off some aquifers in an overabundance of caution. Wouldn't water catchments then be a source of water supply, especially for households who are gonna, and small businesses who are gonna need water beyond that, that's gonna be rationed to them?
In our testimony in regards to the Safe Drinking Water Act, we defer to the Department of Health.
Yeah, okay. So I guess with, then my question is with Department of Health. Sorry. I mean, I'm questioning why you folks are opposing this when, especially with the potential of a water rationing problem on Oahu, okay? People are gonna start needing to rely on water catchments as a secondary source of water. Why can't we help individuals? Why can't the Department of Health help individuals as well as small businesses ensure that the water catchment that they create is safe?
So when it comes to to an individual or resident, they have every right to use water catchment. It is unregulated by the Department of Health. For business that wishes to use that water for food production, that would fall under the Food and Safety branch. And I believe their requirements points to either public water system or a drinking water source that meets the National Primary Drinking Water Regulation under 40 CFR 141, which is basically the Safe Drinking Water Act. In both cases, that would put them into the same regulatory requirements that a public water system would have. And in order for Food and Safety branch to qualify that as a viable drinking water source. Therefore, it's not just filtration and treatment, but also all the testing that has to be done to make sure that the water quality meets all of the regulated, that is free of all the regulated contamination. The jurisdiction of the Safe Drinking Water branch is only within distribution systems, public water public water systems.
Okay, so are you saying then we probably need another bill that would allow for the kind of testing? And I thought basically maybe the Hawaii administrative rules would be sufficient. The kind of testing that the small businesses who testified and inspections to ensure that the correct filtration and disinfection are in place. Because I see it as occurring as an emergency measure sooner, especially on Oahu, rather than later. And I'm just going to tell you, personally, I'm on water catchment, and I do the filtration, I do the testing that the UH provides. I haven't had any problems for the past 20 years. But so I really feel also for the small businesses, and especially with Oahu potentially having to do that as a secondary source. Shouldn't there be a system in place to ensure the safety of the catchment systems should Oahu businesses end up relying on that as a secondary source of water?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. If we go back to the previous bill, we did offer some comments with regards to, I'm sorry, that would be the Red Hill Task Force. There are other means of being able to deal with water scarcity, and that would be to reduce the type of water use, such as irrigation and whatnot, right? And how do you get, and also salvaging or doing water scalping from wastewater treatment plants. Those are previous studies, I believe, that was done in the past. I think it was in 2015, Act 229, which required the airport division to do a water research study for water scalping of their system. And this is all about, not only, this is about finding new resources of water for those uses. As I mentioned previously, the Department of Health under the Safe Drinking Water branch regulates only distribution systems. In your particular case, you're not regulated by the Department of Health. And when it comes to the business, like the gentleman mentioned, that would fall under the jurisdiction of the Food Safety branch.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Senator Revere.
Thank you. For Rourke Regan, who was spoken, hopefully he's still there. Aloha. Hi. I'm wondering, how many businesses do you think may be in this situation that we're talking about here, where they would be doing home business in basically Hawaii Island on Catchment?
I'll be honest, I don't think that would be fair for me to give you a number, because I don't know that many people to give a scientific number. I work at farmers markets, and to give you an idea, I do the one here in Naalehu at Kona Green, up in Kona sometimes, and sometimes Maku'u over in Puna. And I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people who want to do, a lot of people don't even know that this rule currently exists, that they cannot use their catchment. But I know at the market here in Naalehu, that's 25 people. A lot of people live in Ocean View. Naalehu does have county water, but I know the commercial kitchen over in Ocean View, they have to truck their water in so they can do the commercial kitchen, because there's no county water in Ocean View, which is one of the largest subdivisions in the US, not just in Hawaii. HPP is Hawaiian Pacific Paradise. That's a huge subdivision that's all on catchment. There is no county water unless if you're right on the highway. So it's a lot of people, and I'm also thinking about the people who want to start a business besides already trying to have one.
Thank you. What I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to figure out the scope of the obligation that we're trying to put onto the Department of Health for regulating or monitoring or measuring or double checking. I mean, are we talking about potentially hundreds of properties or thousands? I mean, for the scale, because as the testimony submitted said, it may not be inexpensive to have this. So I just want to make sure I know how far we're going with this.
I think that it would. I don't know on your end if you're able to look at who's registered with GET that's doing these types of businesses. If this opens up, I could see a lot more businesses wanting to be created. But I also think that you could, on my side, I could definitely submit to the labs in Oahu for my water testing. It would be less expensive than having to import water constantly to bring up to the tanks or to create a separate tank that can still be.
And what is, I'm sorry, and what is the cost of that testing then? What would that, what would you estimate your annual cost would be?
Well, I would have to ask how many times a year would the Department of Health require that testing. I know for my testing, not for water, but for my samples that I talked about the other day on the cottage industry bill, it was $1,500, but that's for 8 separate flavors, and that was for much more than E. coli. That was for yeast and mold and for things that don't deal with just water issues. So, but that's something. I'm not a legislator, but I'm always happy to look up as well. You know.
Yeah, so about 1,500 for a eight what do they call it, panel test.
A large panel test that's also for food, not just for water. I mean, I know when you get your water tested, you can go down to Waterworks down in Hilo, and they test the water and tell you E. coli and every single thing else, and rat lung worm and all the things that people worry about. So that way you have it safe for your family, and that is very inexpensive. Half the time they just do it for free. And
so, and I'm sorry, in the sake of time, I'm trying, I really apologize. I don't like to step over your conversation. I'm sorry. But it says here, there's on this draft bill, it says the participating owner shall pay, and has a blank amount for tests, and the department shall cover the remainder. If I was thinking of a percentage, do you think, and again, you probably didn't write the bill or whatever, but what's fair? Is the idea that it'd be half-half, the state pays half, the business pays half, or where do you think that would go?
I think that and I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for other business people, and they're probably going to get mad at me for this. I think I should probably pay more than the Department of Health. So maybe 60-40 or 75%, because I'm asking this to improve my business, because otherwise you can't even have the business.
Great, thank you. Chair, thank you very much. Chair, could I ask the Department of Health one or two quick questions?
Before that, are there any other questions by any of the members?
Yes, I have a question.
Chair,
yes, is there anyone representing either Kika or from the plumbers and fitters, a local union, or Robin Fisher from the Association of Plumbing and Mechanical officials? Any of the two here? Well, it's really interesting, members, because a testimony, if you would see it, also asks for some recommendations. And if so, their amendments as well also indicate that the department, presently the department and in our state plumbing, there's a state plumbing code. And so I think the recommendation from the plumbers and the mechanical officials as well recognize that if we do recognize including the plumbing code, I think that would address many of the issues for safety and health, as well as some of the recommendations they had. That's just something to offer. Thank you very much. And they include as well the testing and who's to pay for it as well. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
That was included in the late testimony for
yes,
the edification of the members. Senator Revere, you had one more question?
Thanks. I just want to circle back then with the Department of Health. So if you were given this mandate to work, what would it look like? How could these independent businesses then do contract out for water testing and submit the results to you, or would you have to do the testing? I mean, how does it work?
If there were a public water system, the department would accept, there's a portion of the testing that the department does. If they're a private entity, not regulated by as a public water system, then we feel that the individual or business should burden the costs of that. If I should point out that this measure was modeled after 340E-4.8, which is an unregulated program to assist residents. And if really, there's only lead and copper testing that is subsidized by this. That's about a $300 test. The resident pays $25 and also for the shipping costs, and the department basically pays for the balance of the tests.
So it doesn't sound overly expensive or onerous then?
No, not true, because that's just one test. If you look at, if you're a public water system, on average, on the lower end, once you become a public water system, you also have to be, you have to have a distribution system operator, somebody certified to operate the system and make sure it's safe, and tend to do all the due diligence type of reporting. That on average, on the lower end, is about $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Wow. Okay. So if they were to hui up and form some sort of best practices, system, and have a business that supported each of them, is that in the world of feasibility?
Yeah, nothing prevents them from having. I mean, we have 4 water catchment systems that are public water systems. Hui would be possible, and then they would, and probably more efficient for their needs.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it.
Okay. Members, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I'm prepared to give recommendations for decision-making. Do we need to break out?
It's fine for water and land, Chair. We can proceed going into it as well.
Okay.
I do have my recommendation that I think you have a copy of it as well.
Yes.
For water
So,
land.
why don't you go ahead, since Waterland's first on the agenda?
Okay. Then let's proceed with decision-making for SB 3376, and this is relating to mosquito control. Chair's recommendation is to defect the date to July 1st, 2050, as well as adopting technical and non-substantive amendments. And we'd like to adopt DLNR's proposed amendments, as well as those proposed amendments from the Department of Health. Members, any questions regarding SB 3376? Hearing none, is that all right with you, the Committee on Health? We'll proceed with the votes then. Are you ready? Okay.
We're
For
ready.
for the Committee on Water and Land, Chair's recommendation for both committees is that we pass SB 3376 with amendments. Any discussions? Hearing none. Senator Misalucha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Chair votes aye on SB 3376 for the Committee on Water and Land. Vice Chair Agaran.
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Rivera.
Aye.
Senator Favela on Zoom.
Excuse.
Excuse. Okay. Chair, your recommendation's adopted.
Thank you.
Health Committee, same recommendation. Chair votes aye.
Recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Senator Baker votes aye. Senator Moriwaki is excused. Senator San Buenaventura.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much. For the Health, Water, Land agenda, the first measure, SB 2650, relating to water quality. This is the transfer bill. A lot of moving pieces on this bill. It's obviously very complicated. I had wanted to have the discussion on it, given the nature of the water crisis on Oahu, but I think it's a little much for us to deal with in this session, so I'm going to defer. The next measure, SB 2653, relating to water quality. This is the task force. I'm going to recommend that we accept the Department of Health suggested amendments, placing them as a co-chair with the Water Commission and adding a water reuse study to the objectives of the task force. We also have 2 SMA suggested conforming amendments for non-state employees included on the task force. That's related to Chapter 84. and adding a provision dissolving the task force on June 30th, 2024. There are also some technical non-substantive amendments. Members, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Vice Chair, SB 2653, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Of the members that are on the call, any objections or reservations? Senator Sam Buenaventura?
No reservations. I'm aye.
Okay, so we have Moriwaki and Favela excused. Chair, your recommendation.
Oh, I'm here.
Uh,
I just got on.
okay, are you? What's
Yeah,
your vote
it's
on this
fine.
one?
Support.
Okay, thank you. Chair, your recommendation is adopted. 4 ayes, 1 excused.
Okay, thank you. The Committee on Water and Land, same recommendation to pass SB 2653 with amendments. Members, any questions? Hearing none. Senator Misalucha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
For Committee on Water and Land, for SB 2653, Chair recommends pass with amendments. For all members present, are there any objections? Any reservations? Noting that Senator Favela is excused, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next measure, SB 2658. This is regarding an emergency appropriation to the Board of Water Supply. The recommendation is to accept the Department of Health amendments changing the funding mechanism to general funds. I'm going to recommend that we not lift the ceiling in this measure because it might create a title problem, and the request to lift the ceiling on that special fund is in the budget bill. There are also some some clarifications and fixes to references to the Board of Water Supply. It says Oahu instead of Honolulu. And also defect the effective date of this measure to January 1, 2050. Members, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Vice Chair, SB 2658 passing with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Moriwaki?
Aye.
Senator Sam Buenaventura?
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you. For the Committee on Water and Land, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2658 with amendments. Any discussions, Water and Land Committee members? Okay, hearing none, Senator Misalucha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Committee on Water and Land, in reference to SB 2658, Chair recommends pass with amendments. For all members present, are there any reservations? Any objections? Chair, with the exception of Senator Favela's excuse, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last measure on the agenda, SB 2889, relating to water catchment systems. This is a complicated issue, but I'd like to keep it moving for discussion purposes. So I'm going to recommend that we move this measure out with amendments, defecting the effective date to January 1, 2050, accepting the amendments noted in the testimony of the Plumbers Union related to adopting the Uniform Plumbing Code standards. And there are also some technical non-substantive amendments. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Vice Chair, SB 2889 passing with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Of the other 2 members on the call, any objections or reservations? If not, I votes for all present. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
For the Committee on Water and Land, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2889 with amendments. Any discussions on the Water Land Committee? Hearing none, Senator Misalucha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
For the Committee on Water and Land, SB 2889, Chair recommends pass with amendment. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Agaran? Yes. Wait, can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear
Yes.
you. Senator Agaran, unmute yourself.
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Rivera?
Aye.
And Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the hospitality of the Waterland Committee. Health Committee members, just a reminder, we are on the Health Committee, a separate link for our Health Committee agenda, which I'll join you on in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much again. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Committee on Health.
Thank you.
Okay, We are up, GVO.
Chair, did you want to be in recess?
I think I'm ready. Senator Moriwaki.
Yep, ready. I think, let me just see if my members are here.
You want to take a break then first?
Yeah, when I see Donovan. Oh, I think I'm missing one member, I think. I only have two. Yeah, maybe just take a short recess and then I'm gonna find one person.
Let's take a recess then.
No need, yeah. Yeah, I know, but can you get in touch with them to see that somebody will come in?
Otherwise, you can do.
Are we on? Aloha. Yep. Aloha and welcome to the joint hearing of the Senate Committees on Government Operations and Water and Land. Today is Monday, February 14th at 1:10 p.m. I'm Sharon Moriwaki, Chair of the Government Operations Committee. Joining me remotely are Vice Chair Senator De La Cruz and Senator Chang. Co-Chair, Water and Land Chair, Lorraine Inoue, would you like to introduce your members on?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Members of the Water and Land Committee, myself, Lorraine Inoue is Chair, Vice Chair Keith Agaran from Maui is on Zoom, as well as Senator Revere is on Zoom. We do have Senator Misalucha presently here in room 229. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Before proceeding, a few housekeeping announcements. This hearing is being streamed live on YouTube. You can find links to viewing options for our Senate meetings on live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. In the unlikely event that we encounter major technical difficulties during today's hearing and must end it abruptly, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at a later time that will be posted on the legislative website at capitol.hawaii.gov. So moving on to the GVO and Water and Land agenda, the first bill is SB 2366 relating to transportation. It specifies that the government agency does not assume ownership or jurisdiction over a disputed road solely through maintenance or repair activities, and authorizes the state to transfer ownership of roads to the county by quitclaim deed if requested. First testifier is Department of Land and Natural Resources. Do we have anyone from DLNR? Oh, Russell.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Hi, chairmen and members of the committee. Russell Tsuji for DLNR. We submitted comments to this bill. We understand what's the genesis. Our comment is it really should not be an issue in dispute. It's really the county or Department of Transportation. One thing I wanted to add to our testimony, though, because it does require the state to issue quitclaims if requested. One of the problems with that, and it comes up all the time, is no one has a survey or the issue of survey and subdivision comes up and who incurs the cost, and that can be very time consuming. I'm not sure if this will fix it, but one thing to consider is maybe saying quitclaim without the need for a subdivision or survey might help. I'm not sure if that will pass legal muster, but I'm just suggesting that because that always will come up. It is not surveyed or something like that. Thank you. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, stick around, Russell. Thank you. Next up is Department of Transportation. Anyone from the Department of Transportation?
Chair Inouye and Chair Moriwaki, members of the committee, the Department of Transportation supports the intent of Senate Bill 2366, and we will stand on our testimony. Thank you. very much.
Thank you. We do have anyone else to testify? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to just call out that we have written testimony from the County of Kauai in support with some amended language. The Office of the Mayor of Maui County as well in support. Members, any questions of our testifiers? I do. So Mr. McCain, on DNR testimony, you state that the bill is not necessary because it has to do with roads. But I see that the bill also includes trails, which is under the jurisdiction of DLNR. So would you respond to that it does include non-vehicular roads or trails?
Chair Moriwaki, I'll have to yield to one of our people. Fawn, can you try to address that, please? On Yamada. Well, apparently we're having a technical problem.
Oh,
Hi,
see.
this is Fawn Yamada. Hi. Yeah, I think
Hi.
that testimony was from DLNR, so that would have been Russell.
Yeah, it's not DOTs. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, Russell Tsuji. Did the bill address trails too?
Yeah.
Did it say transfer of trails?
Yeah, if you look at if you look at section 2 of the bill on page 3, it does say trial, but I think it meant trail. Line 3, C3, line subsection C, line 3, it says bridge or
Yeah, our testimony was limited to the roads part, not the trails, because that trails, as far as that I'm sure DOFA or our forestry division wants to retain whatever trails they have. That was never my intent in the testimony. We focused on the roads, the public roads issue under 264, basically saying under 264, the roads are transferred by operation of law already to either the counties or it's under DOT highways. And oftentimes it's really not a DOT highway, so it ends up bouncing to the county. What happened was because it was transferred by operational law, sometimes the counties will say, oh, I don't have a deed, but we keep pointing back to the act, which said it was transferred by operational law. That's why I think in this one, it's good that it's saying, yes.
It says trails,
yes.
so you folks would be involved, yeah, if it says trails.
If I may.
Yeah.
Suzanne, Keith.
Hi, Suzanne.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I don't think we would want trails to be covered by this. I think that sometimes there are vehicle trails, but even vehicle trails are often under the management of forestry and wildlife, for example. So I might recommend striking the word trails.
I want to point you to I don't know if the person for whom this bill has been introduced wanted to exclude you, because if you look at page 4, line 17, it says public recreational area, and I think they're talking about trails. It says means coastal inland recreational areas, and so it includes I guess public trails. So I don't know if you've had the problem where trails need to be fixed or repaired, and you might fix it, but you don't want to be known as owning it. And I think that's the intent of this bill.
As to trails, typically trails under state jurisdiction are forestry and wildlife or state parks. And it's not often that it's part of the roads in limo. In fact, I can't think of any examples where it's in the discussion. I mean, I think this bill wants to allow the counties to fix things without agreeing whether it's a county road or a DOT road. But I think it's much simpler to leave the DLNR state trails out of this equation because it does confuse the whole roads in limbo issue.
It's fun.
I have a
Yes, Chair.
I have a question, Chair. And I understand where DLNR is with regards to comments. And just to add to that, there are some trails in the state that are also co-partnering with DLNR who are nonprofits. So, I think there are some that contribute to at least cleaning up or managing with the department. So I can see that it, and I'll add to that I agree with Chair Case. If you look at section 2, on the page 2, that's fine because we're only talking about roads. But I agree that if you look at C, I think it's too complicated because we're even mentioning alleys, streetway and lanes, bikeways, pretty much are under the jurisdiction of the counties as well. So
should we just
maybe
delete
we
that
can
section? Maybe
it's a little confusing. So my suggestion, Chair, is perhaps we strike out C and just stick to the road.
We'll get to that.
The roads.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. And then I don't see anybody here from the Department of Transportation, but they did recommend that we look at, yes. You did recommend in your testimony that we use section 264 instead of the location of this bill, which is the county and also the state general administration. Do you want, or you or Fawn can respond to that?
Fawn, can you handle that? Very capable assistant, I might add.
We recommend that we place the proposed language under 264-1. That will be the highways chapter, so that it clearly gives the state's authority to convey its interest to the county who is requesting title.
And the counties, the counties also suggest that the state and the county have joint and several immunity from liability. You folks also agree with that? Some kind of immunity if you're fixing the roads.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone else with questions? Chair Inoue, your committee, anyone else with questions?
I think you did a good job with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will turn the gavel over to you then for the other two.
Okay, thank you, Chair. For SB 2725, and this is relating to special improvement districts, it expands the purpose and rationale for which counties may create special improvement districts to include environmental research, restoration, and maintenance, natural resource management, and natural hazard mitigation to improve environmental conditions and provide community benefits. Hi, Emma. Luke Myers, are you available? They sent testimony with comments.
Yes, ma'am. This is good afternoon,
Aloha.
Chair, Vice Chair.
Aloha, Luke.
This is David. This is David Lopez, the Executive Officer.
Oh, okay.
And I'm speaking on behalf of Luke. But HTH does stand on its testimony. We provided comments that there is a need for strategies that will enhance hazard mitigation, and the strategy should align with the statewide hazard mitigation plan. HTH is available for discussions. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. DLNR? Chair Case, or who's out there? Michael?
Yeah, good afternoon, Chair, committee members. Michael Kane, Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands. On behalf of DLNR, we do support this measure. We think it'll help local communities seek funds to engage in long-range planning. And we did offer one amendment relating to including language regarding sea level and climate change as one of the uses or purposes of a special improvement district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. University of Hawaii, Dolan Eversole.
Yes, aloha, good
Aloha.
afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. I'm Dolan Eversole representing University of Hawaii. And we will stand on our written comments. I do want to highlight and reinforce what we just heard from DLNR, that one of our suggestions is to include a climate change adaptation component to this bill. I think that would strengthen it. But otherwise, I'm available to answer any questions.
Senator, I've got my glitches all fixed so I can talk.
Okay, aloha, Rick.
Aloha, Senator. And I want to thank our Senator Moriwaki for moving this bill forward, introducing this bill. You know, we're probably the most we're the biggest user of the special improvement district. I say we, Waikiki is. We actually have 3 improvement districts now, one for maintaining sidewalks and landscaping, and one for beaches, and one for transportation. And we found them very effective in bringing the stakeholders together to attack specific problems. Improvement districts are a highly used tool across the country. There are more than 2,000 of them. I think New York alone has 40. It's the kind of thing that communities all around the state could find useful as a way of dealing with problems that are specific to their communities. And so not all the counties have adopted enabling legislation. Of course, the city and county of Honolulu has. And I believe the Big Island has as well. And then Kauai is considering it. So this is I think an important tool that can be made available to our communities to deal with these issues. For us, we're particularly interested in looking at it for the Hawaii watershed. So thank you for the opportunity to offer these comments, and Chair, thank you for hearing this bill.
Okay, Rick, there's a recommendation from the university as well and DLNR to add the climate change and hazard mitigation. Is that acceptable to you folks as well?
I think it's a positive. I think it's a positive addition.
Good. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishes to speak to SB 2725, members of the committee or a GVO? Shall we proceed then, Chair?
Yes, please.
Okay. We'll continue on then to SB 3135, and this is relating to historic preservation reviews. It transfers authority for certain reviews of projects in conjunction with Section 6E-42 of the HRS from the Department of Land and Natural Resources to the counties. It provides financial assistance to the counties to hire qualified staff to conduct the reviews. DLNR or Dr. Downer, are you there today? Aloha.
Aloha, Madam Chair. Senator
Good seeing
Moriwaki,
you. Thank you.
members of the committee. The department stands on its written testimony fully supporting this measure. I'll be happy to answer any questions later if there are any.
Okay. Thank you, Dean Uchida, Department of Planning and Permitting, and I believe in conjunction with the county's planning and permitting agencies as well. Aloha, Dean. Thank you for
Hello,
joining
Senator.
us.
Thank you for getting together the 4 planning directors in that briefing you had in January. We found it really informative. We all got together after and prepared some comments and recommendations on the bill that you have before you. It's signed and agreed upon by all 4 county planning directors. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
And in essence, Dean, why don't you share with our colleagues as well with regards to your testimony and on behalf of the GVO committee as well. So you're totally not supporting the measure, but you also have a recommendation. And
That's
you
correct.
want to deal with your recommendation, please, for the
Sure,
members.
we're suggesting that the legislature consider should be taking on like a third-party review program where you have certified people from the private come in and work under the supervision of Shifty to review work coming in for their approval. It's kind of like surge pricing. As you get more requests coming in, instead of adding staff, you bring in outside third parties who are certified to do the review. They conduct the review, and as the surge goes away, you can release these people back to their jobs. We think it's a more economical and efficient way of addressing the problem than to basically delegate it to the counties without any additional staff or resources at the county level.
Thank you very much. Nayab, Evan, are you there and available today with your testifying?
Not present, Chair.
Okay, thank you. HGEA.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chad Nye from HGEA. Well, we're testifying with comments on this bill that, you know, these jobs, the certifying a third party for this function contradicts what was customarily and historically been performed by employees, and the department should find other alternatives as far as possibly adding additional positions or funding from the legislature. Other than that, I stand on the written testimony that we do have. Thank you for the opportunity for testifying. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. DOT.
Yes, ma'am. Chair Inouye and Chair Moriwaki, members of the committee, the Department of Transportation is in support of the measure, and we will stand on our written testimony. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. We do have a list of supporters sent communication in support, and we have about 4 in opposition as well. HGA, question. Okay, I think the third party for this function includes, and Dean, correct me if I'm wrong, is pretty much just doing the review, Dean, if I'm correct. So HGEA, I don't think the intention was to do the overall, Dean, correct me.
That's correct, Senator, that's correct.
HGEA?
My understanding is that they're currently being done by these 10 archaeologists and architectural historians. And currently there's 3 vacancies.
And I do know there's is it in the budget or we have a bill yet? And for the archaeologists. Yeah, there's movement to fill the positions for the archaeologists. And so I don't think that would be a problem because all we're doing is asking that the review process, but not to actually manually do the work. We're not replacing positions in this manner. Or the recommendation would be looking at that as far as the third-party review system. So we can continue further and see how we look at this measure today. And then I think we do have, this measure continues on 2 ways and means. But
Chair,
just to let you know. Yes, Senator.
Yes, I have a question of the county and maybe it's more Department of Land and Natural Resources. It seems that the counties are saying, don't give us the positions, you keep them, you do them. You do the review at DLNR rather than having it in the counties so that it's a consistent application of the law. So I don't know if that's what Dean, you can respond to, and then Patrick or somebody from DLNR.
Senator Morak is correct. If you decentralize it among the 4 counties, there's chance that you won't be consistent in how the reviews are done. So putting under SHPE's review, they can guarantee some consistency in how the reviews are being conducted.
So it's rather than shifting it to the counties, keeping it in the state, but having third-party reviewers in the state. Okay. So one more question of Patrick, somebody from DLNR. So what I read in your testimony is that you're having a hard time finding these archaeologists and third-party reviewers to begin with, or reviewers on staff. What is, if we gave staffing, or you have staffing, what is the problem in being able to be fully staffed to do this quicker? Because I think the problem is it's.
I think Dr. Downer will respond, Chair.
Okay, all right, Dr. Downer.
Thank you for that question, Senator. So we have three vacancies currently for archaeologists and one for an architectural historian. The 2 archaeology positions were 0 funded in last year's budget, so we couldn't, we just couldn't advertise them. And then for the other positions, they were all frozen for most of the year. So, we're sort of behind the curve there. But we do have problems with recruitment. We have problems retaining staff. Part of it is a small labor pool in Hawaii. What I hear from the consulting firms is that they also have problems recruiting. One of the things that's in the budget proposal is additional funds so that we can increase the salaries that we offer, because we are ridiculously out of step with the private sector. I mean, it was a shock to me when I started polling the consulting firms to see what they pay people at a comparable level of education and experience. So those are sort of the drivers of our problems. I have to also say this, that we have been able to fill positions given the opportunity. I mean, it takes longer than we would like, but we have been able to fill the positions. And I guess I don't know if I hope I've addressed your question.
So following up on that, so given if you were funded for these positions, you could staff it. It's not like you can't find archaeologists or your people with expertise that you need. If you increase the salary, for example. So that's not the problem. So you could staff at your end rather than shifting that to try to have the counties try to find these people on their end, which would still be the same problem.
If I may, Senator,
yes,
I think the solution to Shifty is going to have to be a multi-pronged approach. The city and county has some, I believe it's archaeological or architectural capacity on staff. Several of the counties do. They're, issuing building permits and, can determine their priorities. It's going to have to take a significant, that's why we put in a big budget request. We are pursuing third-party review, but there's no silver bullet here. It's not, we have to attack it on multiple levels.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll go back to Dean Uchida. So you heard the chair about this need to be a multi-pronged approach, whether it's some way of working with the counties and the SHPE, the state DLNR, and looking at what that configuration would be, maybe not total shift, but some way in which state and counties can work together to share resources. What do you think about that?
Well, we don't have any archaeologists on staff or historic architects on staff. So I think some of the nearby, I think Maui might have somebody, but all the counties are still waiting for SHPE's review on the various permits that come through. So I don't think any county is acting independently on their own.
Okay. And Chair, just for your information, our committee did an informational briefing and understanding this measure. And Steph and I have gotten to review the agency, and we totally kind of understand SHPE and its operations with lack of funding as well. And so our intentions are to make sure that we can provide the necessary positions. And also, we did have the counties appear at the informational briefing. And as Dean Ochita says, exactly the position of the counties, that they don't have the staff and the expertise. And so, and I tend to agree with that, but we hope that the counties would also, upon the review and whatever is before the SHPE as well, the counties are always involved with the projects. And so perhaps we can hopefully look at the recommendations. My recommendations would be actually to move this along as well. Try to hopefully at the end of the day that we can fill the positions and see how we can work with the agency to make things a little less stressful that they're already experiencing, and so that we can speed up projects. And with the county's help, and they're good people, and they're always there to make sure that whatever is before them, that we can at least move projects along as well. So anyway, that's our intentions, and hopefully we can all work together because you know, it's long overdue for SHPE, and I think with all of our help with that as well. Okay.
So yeah, so just another question for Dean. So if we move this bill along, there is ample provision for this third-party review that would be that would satisfy the counties, at least as we move this measure along. You can see whether you want to refine it.
Sure, that was us.
Okay, right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions with regards to SB 3135, members? Okay, hearing none. Chair, do you want to go into the breakout room? I'm ready for my bills if you are. Otherwise, we can proceed because I think we have 10 minutes.
Okay, we can go forward. I have recommendations for my one bill.
Good. All right. Very efficient. Okay. Your show.
Okay.
Okay. For
okay.
SB 2366.
Right. This is relating to transportation. The chair recommends that we pass with amendments. First is taking the Department of Transportation recommendation to more appropriately place Section 2 of the bill in Section 264, which is a transportation section of HRS on county and state roads, and deleting, as you recommended, Chair, Section 27C on page 3, which has to do with disputed public streets that includes trails and non-vehicular traffic, taking that out. And thirdly, recommending the recommendation from the counties of Kauai and Maui and DOT to provide immunity of joint and several liability for the state and county when they repair and maintain their roads in good faith.
I think it's all counties, yeah.
No, county and state.
Yeah, but you mentioned only two other counties.
No, county and state, county and
Okay.
state.
All right, oh, okay, all counties, thank you.
So Chair recommends that we pass, is Donovan here? No. Oh, Chair recommends that we pass the bill with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Excuse me, can we go with discussion?
You know, sorry, you have questions?
Yeah, on page 4, I think Chair Case kind of brought it up where the public recreational area. that's underscored. Are we gonna do something with that part?
I think she said she wanted to delete that whole section. Yeah, so it's being deleted.
Oh,
That is
okay.
section 27C. And it's page.
Yeah, what about page 4, line 16, F as in Frank? That section? You know where it says public recreation area?
Yeah, that
Because
doesn't
you got the
change.
trails in there too.
Yeah, but that one doesn't change the law at all. It just.
Okay, all right.
I think it just changes the capital P to a small p, so I don't know what.
All right, if that's current law, that's fine.
Yeah, that's current law. So the big part of it is page 3, C, where.
Yeah, deleting that.
Wants to delete that,
okay.
The trails. So we're taking out any non-vehicular roads, highways, whatever.
And trails.
So trails are out.
Okay.
I think that's what the chair recommended.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions, members? Okay. Any other questions, Chair Inoue, your committee?
Okay, we're fine. You can take your votes.
Okay, we're going to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Dela Cruz? Thought I saw him.
Aye.
Thank you. Senator Chang?
Aye.
Senator Gabbard? Excused. Senator Favela? Excused. The recommendation is adopted.
Okay. Thank you for the Committee on Water and Land. Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2366 relating to transportation. Members, any discussions? Hearing none, Chair Misalucha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
This is in reference to SB 2366 for the Committee on Water and Land. Chair recommends pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Agaran, excuse. Senator Misalucha
It's the same bill.
votes aye. Senator Riviere.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair recommendations adopted.
Okay, Chair GVO, I'll take the next two, yeah. Okay,
Yes.
Chair's recommendation to pass SB 2725 relating to special improvement districts with amendments. And the recommendation is that we defect the date to July 1st, 2050 and adopt DLNR's proposed amendments. Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none for the Committee on Water and Land, pass SB 2725 with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on SB 2725 for Committee on Water and Land. For all members present, are there any objections? Any reservations? With Senator Agaran and Senator Favela excused, Chair, your recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Okay, GVO.
Okay, for GVO, same bill, same recommendation. On SB 2725, passed with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Dela Cruz,
Aye.
Senator Chang,
Aye.
Senator Gabbard, and Senator Favela excused. The recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. SB 3135 relating to historic preservation review. Chair would like to continue this discussion and move this measure along. So the recommendation is to defect the date to July 1st, 2050. We'll blank the appropriations on page 7, line 7, and we'll adopt DLNR's proposed amendments, and we'll adopt the City and County of Honolulu's proposed amendments, which includes, actually, it's all the planning directors in the state, in other counties as well. Any discussion? Hearing none for the Committee on Water and Land, then Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 3135 with amendments. Okay, Senator Misalucha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Chair votes aye on SB 3135 for Committee on Water and Land. For all members present, are there any reservations? Any objections? Chair with Senator Agaran and Senator Favela excused, your recommendations adopted.
Okay. Thank you. This concludes the
Oh, wait.
joint hearing.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
sorry.
we haven't voted.
Yes, yes.
GVO
Must
to
must
vote
have
on
the
this
vote.
measure.
Must have the
If not,
vote.
the bill dies.
I know. Okay, Chair.
The Senate Bill 3135, same recommendation of the GVO committee. All three members present, anyone voting in opposition, anyone with reservation. The measure is adopted. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, GVO.
Thank
Joint
you.
hearing is adjourned.